welcome you tonight to our group therapy. Listen, get out of the bed and worship with us. It's a great opportunity to give God everything that you have. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we're just going to rejoice and be glad in it. So worship with us tonight. Come other names fade away. And Jesus, take your place. I'll move just so he can take his place. Come on, let's sing it. Let all the other names fade away. Lift your voice wherever you are and say, let all of the other names fade away. Until there's only one name. And at that name, every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess he is Lord. Jesus, take your place. Let's do it again. Come on. Let all the other names fade away. That's it. You got to find your part. Let all the other names till there's only you. Yes, God. Jesus, take your place now. got to open up your mouth and say something. Put something into the atmosphere. Sometimes he won't move because you ain't telling him what you want him to do. Let's do it again. Come on, baby. I've seen you move. I've seen you move. I've seen you move. I've seen you move. I'm convinced he's a healer. I've seen you move. I'm convinced he's a protector. I'm convinced he'll keep you. He'll keep you in perfect peace. I'm convinced he'll do it. I'm convinced he'll do it. He made a way. 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 You made a way. He made a way. Hey God. So we bless him and we honor him. We give him glory. Come on, worship him right there. Worship him. Don't wait on the instructions. Just worship him. Because he's making a way right now. Way make, miracle work, promise keep, light in the darkness. That's who he is. Way make, miracle work, promise keep, light in the darkness. That's who you are. That's who you are. Somebody declare it, way maker, miracle work, promise keep, light in the darkness. Come on, declare it. That's who you are. That's who you are. Come on, do it real good. Say, way make, miracle worker, miracle worker. Oh, that's you. Come on, you gotta declare it. Come on, declare it. Way maker, promise keeper. He's a light in the darkness. Come on, real big rain for you, way maker. Hey. Say light in the darkness. 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 He'll give me a light. He'll be light in the darkness. He'll be light in the darkness. Say my way maker. Say my way maker. Say my way maker. Say miracle worker. Say miracle worker. He'll do it for you. You just gotta believe that he's a miracle worker. He's a miracle worker. He's a miracle miracle. He's a miracle miracle. He's a miracle miracle. He's a miracle worker. We believe in your power tonight, God. Miracle worker, promise keep, light in the darkness. That's who you are. 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 That is who. That's who you are. 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 That's who you are.
That's who he is. He's a miracle worker. I don't know where you are tonight. I don't know what you're standing in need of. How about we declare unto you that we serve a miracle working God. Miracles only happen when there's a mess and where there's mayhem. I speak miracles over your finances, miracles over your family, miracles over your health, miracles over your employment, miracles related to your housing, miracles connected to your dreams, miracles in your assignment. I'm telling you, God is in the business of producing miracles, and there's a miracle with your name on it. Come on, that's who you are.
That's who you are. That's who you are. That's who you are. He's a wonderful Savior. He's a miracle worker. He's a way maker. He's a problem fixer. He's a mind regulator. That's who we know to be. He is a healer, and he's a protector. Yes, he is. That's who you are.
Lord, it feels good in here tonight. That's who he is. I'm excited. Miracles are abounding in our midst. Friday, I received a phone call from Chime Solutions saying, Pastor, we are a minority company. We are blessed of God to be able to sign a major lucrative contract that necessitates that we hire 1,000 people immediately. And we don't know where to get them from, but we need your help. We're enlisting you to help support us. Do you think you can help us find 1,000 people who are in need of employment? I rang the alarm on Friday night. And this afternoon, the proprietor called me and said, Pastor, thank you. 754 people have already responded to the call. If you just make one more lap around the bases, we can get that last 300. We'll be off and running. It is, in fact, a customer care corporation. That what it is that you'll be doing will be virtual. They have offices in Dallas, in Atlanta, and in Charlotte. But because of technology, you are not limited by space. But they are making preferential treatment to those who live in those three areas, Dallas, Charlotte, and Atlanta. If you are in need of a job, they're paying somewhere in the orbit of $14 an hour. You have the luxury of being able to work from home, and we want you to please take, sir, ma'am, full advantage of it. As that you'll go to Chime Solutions. Chime Solutions, there you'll find where it is that you can apply. If you can please put in the comment section, our team is going to put on the screen all of the valuable and salient information that you'll need. There's a code connected to New Birth. Let them know you rocking with us, and they're going to push your name to the front of the line. There's some friend of yours, some relative, might I say some sibling or child who is in need of employment. We want everybody on their feet. God gave me a word in June that I haven't been able to let go of yet. That said, we will prosper in a pandemic. We're going to prosper in a pandemic. Who could not serve a God like our God? That 1,000 people will get employment in one weekend while the economy is about to collapse, while unemployment is at an all-time high, but God is still opening doors. I'm excited because we're just a stone's throw away from our demonstration Sunday. The entire community of the kingdom, the nation of New Birth, is going to be tithing on September 13th. And I want you to be amongst our rank and file to be able to trust God with 10% of your income. I know you can do it because I know that He is able. We're not asking you to not tithe before then, but on that day, I want all of us to be in alignment with the word, the will, and the way of God to make sure that our economy matches our profession of faith. I want to go tonight to 1 Timothy chapter 6. Minister Tiffany and our musical team and all of our musicians, thank you so very much for escorting us into worship. 1 Timothy chapter 6. And I'm going to look at two verses. I want to admonish you to please get a writing instrument. It's chock full of insights and information and jewels that you're going to want to have long after this day is over. Go to the note-taking section in your device so that you can compile and keep up with all of what it is that I am downloading into your intellectual hard drive on tonight. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verses 18 and 19. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verses 18 and 19. Here's what it says according to the New International Version. Command them to do good, to be rich in good deeds, and to be generous and willing to share. In this way, they will lay up treasure for themselves as a firm foundation and they'll do it for the coming age, so that they may take hold of the life that is truly a life. Let's go back to verse number 18. Come on, please. Command them to do good. Be rich in good deeds. Be generous. And you have to be willing to share. I want to teach tonight for a little while using as a subject a return on investment. A return on investment. Wherever it is that you're watching and worshiping and participating, would you just lay hands on yourself and make this declaration of faith? I will make a return on every investment. Come on, I need you to say it with authority. I will get a return on every investment. Glenn Lowry, in his compelling piece, Why More Blacks Don't Invest. Why More Blacks Don't Invest. It was written for the New York Times Sun magazine. And in it, Dr. Lowry reflects on his Uncle Mooney. He's from the south side of Chicago. He was a significant businessman in the 1960s. Uncle Mooney was a product of the Great Depression and had not yet received the spoils of the civil rights era and its advancements. His mind frame, his philosophy, by today's standards, his thoughts would be deemed as archaic. But just a generation ago, it would have been the norm. He would religiously put his earnings in old fruit cans and put it in his bedroom closet. When he was questioned as to why it is that he would put all of his earnings in fruit cans, he would retort that he didn't believe in banks or the white folks that ran them. I want to back up for just one moment because the Uncle Mooney in whom Dr. Lowry is referring to was around in the 1950s and 1960s. He was an entrepreneur, amassed independent wealth, but every dime he got, he would put it in fruit jars and then put it in closets. I wonder in 2020, how many of you who are hearing my voice, who are listening to this stream, have everything you've worked for in your closet? It's not in a jar, it's not in a can, and it's not even cash. All of your assets are on your back. And no, you are too sophisticated to say you don't believe in banks, but somehow or another the bank has no confidence in you. By the grace of God, a burglar nor a fire ever rifled through the closet of Uncle Mooney. But on the flip side, no legacy wealth ever came out of that closet. I want you to write this down because I am compelling you to have a family meeting when it is that I come to a conclusion tonight. Here's what I discovered from the data researched at the University of Michigan. Write this down. Only 14% of black households have any stock. Did you write that down? Only 14% of black households own any stock. ... I want you to write down for yourself. You're not turning it into anybody. How much stock does your family have? How much investments? I'm not talking about what it is that you have in a checking account. Only 14% of African Americans have an investment stock portfolio, where the average Caucasian, here it is 45%. Almost half of the larger community has investments, has stocks, has a portfolio. Almost 2 to 1, African Americans who were polled acknowledged that they are more comfortable mingling in real estate than in bonds. Feel more comfortable in real estate than in bonds. Here it is. But we lead the nation in renting. Here it is. We rent more than any other demographic of any ethnicity in the nation, but believe in the power, the authority, and the influence of real estate, but we have become comfortable as renters. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. The old African American adage is that you ought to buy some land because God ain't making no more of it. There ought to be a family meeting that you are holding tonight. For those of you who are renting, it is not my intention to browbeat you tonight, but to motivate you tonight. While it is that the interest rate has dropped down from 0 to 3%, this is the hour that you've got to begin strategically looking to make a move. It is only, hear this, it is only in the African American community that we don't have the notion of a starter home. We believe that the house that we buy has got to have all the bells and whistles initially, not realizing that it is just a transition for your later and ultimate goal. I want you to give yourself a deadline that when this lease comes to an end, I am not going to renew it. When it is that this is over, I'm tired of making somebody else rich at my expense. I'm tired of paying somebody else's mortgage, hear this, with my rent. God has got to do something. And I'm believing that he's going to give me the tools, the keys, and the wherewithal to make a shift. I want to talk to you tonight about investment funds that you can trust. Investment funds you can trust. There are 5 of them, and I want you to write all 5 of them down for me, please. 5 investment funds that you can trust. Here's the first one. Would you please write it down for me, please? The first one is invest in God's treasury fund. Invest in God's treasury fund. You're not going to believe this, but the investment in God's treasury fund does not require Zelle, Cash App, Givelify, Push to Pay, Text to Give, our own secure website. The investment in God's treasury fund, hear this, I want you to write this in the largest font you can, is worship. Something amazing happened when Jesus was born. Wise men came from the east. And something happened that I wanted you to be keen on, is that they bowed down and worshiped him. Hear this. And when they worshiped him, then their gifts opened. You missed that. They had gold, frankincense, myrrh. You know it because you were in the Christmas program. They had gold, frankincense, and myrrh, but none of it would open for them until they worshiped. Can you imagine that the gift that you have inside of you has been locked away because you've been too critical to lay prostrate? Maybe God is holding some things back because what he desires most from you is your worship. Yeah. What do you give the God that has everything? The answer is more of it. So he already has the glory. He already has the power. He already has all of the oil. And so I want to give him mine. I'm giving it to him. Here it is. Because I understand my giving to him is an act of worship. So many of us look at our offering as a utilitarian exercise, that this is what I do because it is politically correct, because this is what is expected of me, because everybody is looking, all eyes on me. But have you ever considered that when I am giving offering unto God, I am now reducing myself, realizing that I am not worthy. And so I give back to him just a piece of what it is that he has given to me. Some years ago, I went to do a tour in Kenya, and went from Kenya to Uganda to Swaziland. And in both three of those nations, before it is that I could enter into the presidential palace, the officer of protocol said, before you go in, do you have a gift for the president, for the prime minister in Swaziland, for the king? And I'm thinking, the meeting hadn't even started. He hadn't given me nothing. Why in the world am I giving him a gift? The director of protocol, the attaché, says, you are giving a gift because you were just glad to be in a position to ask. When it is that I give my offering, it is understanding that God don't even have to listen to my prayers or my petition, but just to be in his presence. Says, I am making an investment. Invest in God's treasury fund, and I do it through worship. Number two, I want you to write this down. Number two is invest in God's mutual fund. Invest in God's mutual fund. The first one is worship. The second one, hear this, is fellowship. Look at 3 John chapter 1, verse number 5. 3 John chapter 1, verse number 5. It says this in the Message translation. When you extend hospitality to friends and strangers, I love this, you make faith visible. Lord, Pastor, what did you just say? When you help people, whether they are in your family or whether they're strangers, here it is, you make the word become flesh. Lord, I think I missed you. When it is that you're looking out for somebody, here it is, that you know or don't know, that is their picture of faith. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for. It is evidence of that which is not seen. Hear this, until you give to them. Can you imagine that your blessing people helps the person see who God is? You nullify the work of God by always bragging about what you did. No, your gift to them, how it is that you bless them, is allowing them the capacity to believe and dream again. Something amazing happened. I was watching an interview last week with Floyd Mayweather, and he talked about how he was in the company of a billionaire, and the billionaire was showing him his helicopter, his Lamborghini, showing him his expansive mansion, and says, do you like all of this? And Floyd Mayweather said to that billionaire, I like that you can show me how to get all of this. I don't want what you have. I want you to show me how I can have my own. Your responsibility as a believer is to not just give out stuff randomly, but you are to make a deposit of faith so that people understand you are not lucky, you're blessed. So that people have a full grasp of the knowledge. It is no secret what God can do. What he's done for others, he'll do it for you. I got to ask you this. In the pandemic, who have you blessed? In the middle of a quarantine, have you looked out for anybody, here it is, that can't pay you back? Who is it that you use an opportunity for God to be seen, for your giving to somebody, I hope you'll shout about it, who doesn't even appreciate it? Who did you bless, knowing that they were taking you for granted? I invest in God's mutual fund through the fellowship of believers. Story is told in a church I preach at in London. There was an usher there who every Sunday in London, an older lady would come and would get into service by herself, feeble of age, weak in body, stooped over in back, and this usher would look out for her every Sunday. Every Sunday would reserve her a seat, would walk her down the aisle, get her situated. When the older lady needed to go to the bathroom, the usher would pay attention, lock in eyes, and then escort her out. Amazingly, that lady came to the wonderment of the age of her years, and she called for that usher to come see her. The usher never even knew her name, had never taken her to lunch, had never spent any time, was just gracious to her. The usher came to see her at the hospital. And the old lady, just before it is that she died, this is a true story, just before she died says, I appreciate you because you took care of me. Hear this, when you didn't know me. Most people who attend to me, they only do it because they know me, because of what I can do for them, because of what it is that I have access to. But because you did it out of a kind heart, I have now put you in my will. I'm giving you and your family $1 million a year with the contingent that after you get the $1 million, you don't quit being an usher. I'd rather be a doorkeeper. You have no idea whose doors you are getting ready to open. And in turn, who God is going to help you open the door for them. Can you imagine God blessing you? You'd be too puffed up to serve, too arrogant to serve, too haughty to serve. But God had to put in the test. The only way you're going to get the blessing is if you remain faithful. Invest in God's mutual fund. Number 3, I want you to write this down, please. Come on, class. Stay up. Come on. Even your children are doing virtual learning better than this. Number 3, come on. Invest in God's growth fund. Number 3, invest in God's growth fund. Quick review and remember, number 1 is you are investing in God's treasury fund, which is worship. Number 2, you're investing in God's mutual fund, which is fellowship. Number 3, I'm investing in God's growth fund, which is discipleship. It's not what it is that you think it is. It's not what it is you think it is. In the investment of God's growth fund, hear this, this is not for strangers. It's not for sick people. It's not for the disenfranchised. Here it is. It is the investment in yourself. I did a reserved special stream on last night with Logos online commentary, and our guest, Brother Gabe Harper, said something that messed me up. He said, preachers, if you have spent more on suits than you have on study, your budget is off. I got to ask you this. How much have you spent this year on your development that was not aesthetics? Not on your wardrobe, not on your clothes, not on your car, not on your home. What kind of investment have you made in you? Yeah. Mike Murdoch said to me many years ago, is that I always know the depth of a preacher by what they are willing to spend on books. Y'all just missed what I just said. What have you done to help cultivate your craft? Are you willing, here it is, to take classes that are not required? Are you willing to go the extra mile for the improvement of what you say your passion is? How are you investing in you to be better? Not aesthetically, but internally. Many years ago, when I first got a job, my parents taught me the 10-10-80 plan that I'm going to give to you tonight. The 10-10-80 plan. I want you to write this down. 10-10-80 10-80. I need you to have it. I need you to teach it to your children. I need you to walk it out in your life. The 10-10-80 plan. What is that, Pastor? I tithe 10% to God. Here's the catch. I tithe 10% to myself. And I live off of 80% of my income. I need you to have that again. 10-10-80. I'm tithing 10% to the house of God. I'm tithing 10% into my house. Whatever it is that I think I make, I adjust my lifestyle to 80% of that. Amazingly, friends, I am embarrassed to tell you that the average African-American household does not have $5,000 in savings. But the average African-American household has $9,000 worth of clothes. How are you investing in yourself? Are the only thing that you buy for your children games? Are you doing anything to help develop them so that they can compete on a global stage? How in the world are you not prepared for a rainy day when the tsunami is coming? You don't know what the economy is going to look like after November 3rd. You have no idea. Here it is. They have just announced this morning. I know that people are watching me tonight from all over the world. They announced this morning that potentially 700,000 people are going to be evicted. Here's the catch. In Atlanta, 700,000 people will potentially be homeless by Halloween. And what have we done to put away for a rainy day fund? I'm talking to you, but I'm also talking to the church you go to. What is the church prepared to do for mass evictions? How is the church? I'm not talking about New Birth. I'm talking about the body of Christ. How are we recalibrated? Here it is. For all these churches that are closed because of COVID, will you open to be shelters? Or you can't afford it because of the heat bill. Or you can't afford it because of running water. Does the church have savings? Now, somebody just missed that. Is the church tithing to itself, or is the church as undisciplined as its members? Why do black churches not have endowments? Why in the last 15 years, I don't even know you like that. Why in the last 15 years, you ain't been to a church mortgage burning? You just got quiet. Maybe because we have taken on the spirit of the pew has infected the pulpit. And maybe the preacher can't preach it because he's hamstrung by what you do in a love offering. Because they never practiced what they preached. The 10-10-80, here it is where it is that we've got to live, not just as a community, but as a body. I just told our board, I need us to begin tithing as a church until I got 1 million liquid in the bank. Well, here it is, not for no capital campaign, not for no building fund, just in case God says move. Wow. How can I have the members in faith and the leaders in safety? God doesn't call you to be stagnant. He calls you to be ready. He says, if they don't receive you where you are, shake the dust off and go to the next place. I'm telling you, do not listen to any disparaging cries of gloom that does not apply to those of you who have been faithful. Here's the catch, over a few things. And the only thing he's asking you to be faithful of, hear this, is just 10%, and you can't do that. He ain't asking you for 50. Imagine this, you got 10 fingers, and he's just saying, give me your pinky. And you say, that's too much. He says, if you give me the pinky, I'll let you keep the other 9. If you let me have your baby toe, I'll let you keep the other 9. But some of you are prepared to be paraplegics of disobedience. Say, God, take all of it rather than me make the reasonable sacrifice of your expectation. I want you to make sure that you are invested in what it is you have to do. Last night, I had the gracious opportunity to do the virtual eulogy at the memorial service of Chadwick Boseman, and I wanted to get through how it is that he would get up 6 o'clock every morning, here it is, just to practice accents. Y'all missed it. Not lines, accents. So that no matter what the role called for, he could speak the language. Some of your accents are off because you're not speaking what the word says. You're not declaring what it is that God has released over your life. You are the head and not the tail. And what's wrong with your accent? That you depress over some bill from Sprint, that you think you're going to lose it all because some supervisor don't like you. Your accent is off. You got to start speaking to yourself. You got to invest. Here it is. My time is moving. Invest in God's equity service. You've invested in God's treasury. You've invested in God's mutual fund. You've invested in God's growth fund. You've got to invest in God's equity service fund. That's the ministry. I want you to look at Proverbs 28 and 27. I know I'm giving you a lot tonight. News flash, this is Bible study. Come on. Proverbs 28 and 27. Give to the poor. I love this. Give to the poor and you'll never be in need. My late grandmother, Pauline Lucas Williams, told my mother, you'll never go broke helping other people. I need somebody to write that down. You'll never go broke helping other people. Proverbs 28 and 27 remixed what my grandmother said. Give to the poor and you'll never be in need. It is like when you give to the poor, it's like lending to the Lord. I got to say that again. When you give to the poor, you are lending to the Lord. I got to ask you this, albeit rhetorically. Do you think God ain't going to pay you back? Yeah. My heart was fluttering while I was in D.C. this week for the march. I was getting called from our team, from our volunteers, saying, Pastor, our King's table opened up. It's 90 degrees, and we're supposed to do it from 10 to 12. But we here, and it's 2 o'clock, and they still coming. I said, well, have we run out of food? I said, no, we haven't run out of food. I said, keep giving it to them. I'm telling you, when it is that you stop making provision, God is going to keep sending resources. When you stop making a way for other people, God is going to start making a way for you. I'm thankful unto God that your testimony in the middle of a quarantine is I've never seen the righteous forsaken, who are seen begging for bread. I'm thankful unto God that God, I know this is reckless talk, but I better say it to somebody. Only 5 of y'all will be able to receive it. God owes you a blessing for how you looked out for some people, how you covered some people, how it is that you made a way for some people. I'm talking to those of you who have been secret donors. You blessed people and you never bragged about it. You never talked about it. You did it out the goodness of your heart. I'm talking to 500 of y'all. You blessed people who were too prideful to ask for help. But you saw the need. You recognized it and you addressed it. You blessed people. Somebody in the studio ought to shout about it. You blessed people, here it is, that would have never blessed you. And still God has been reigning supreme. Let me give you one last one. Number one, I invest in God's treasury fund. That's worship. Invest in God's mutual fund. That's fellowship. Invest in God's growth fund. Here it is. That's me. Invest in God's equity service. That's ministry. Here's number 5. Invest in God's global funds. God is going to use you. I need somebody to write this down. God is going to use you to be a monetary missionary. You're going to be used to be a monetary missionary. Staff called me last week while I was in Louisville, sent me an email and said, Pastor, people in Africa have been watching what it is that we're doing with the King's Table, feeding 8,000, 10,000 people a week. People in Africa watching online in 12 churches in Kenya. said that their people don't have food. And they wanted to know, can a church in Atlanta help them? I didn't even pause. I didn't even flinch. I didn't even take a moment of hesitation. I said, if it's 12 of them, can we verify that these are real churches, real pastors, real congregations, real needs? They said, we've already vetted them. They are real churches representing the Most High God. I said, spare no expense. Whatever it is that we need to do, I want to make sure that these 12 churches, hear this, added to the 53 churches we adopted in Atlanta. I want to make sure that we understand that our light is lifted up so high that the earth will know that God is alive and his footprint is in Stonecrest, Georgia. When it is that you tithe, I want you to know that you are not just helping a local community, but the world, according to John Wesley, is our parish. That every place that our foot shall tread upon, God is getting ready to give it over to us. I'm telling you, I am over the moon excited about what God is going to do in terms of your return. My time is up. I apologize. I missed last week, so I'm making it up to you. Listen to me. I got to tell you this. I believe God is getting ready to do something amazing in those who will invest in him. Those who believe that God, hear this, is worth the investment. Those who can already testify through experience that every time I bet on God, I never walk away from the table empty-handed, but God finds new, novel, and innovative ways to bless me in return. I want to say to you, hear me, that when God bless you, it will not always be material. You got to thank God for health and strength. Got to thank him for reasonable portion of sanity. You ought to thank God for shelter over your head. Got to thank him for the stuff that you have taken for granted. Tonight, here's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to invest in God, to invest in his church. I want you to invest in the ministry. I want you to invest in the outreach. I want you to make an investment knowing that being connected to this is an investment into you. I need you to grab that phone right where it is. All of our giving prompts are now beneath me. I want you to make an investment, and I'm believing, here's how my faith is set up, that before September 13th, our demonstration Sunday, you will have tangible evidence of how it is that you reaped a return from investing in God. I've given you 5 reasons. I hope you'll take hold of one of them. Say, Dr. Bryant, you were talking to me tonight. I'm believing that I need to make an investment. Can a man, can a woman rob God? Yes. All the ones who are scared of investing. All of those who don't believe that it is a rational undertaking. I'm going to challenge you to give on tonight, but I am also challenging every black family that this year is not going to end without you developing an investment portfolio for your family, for your children. On yesterday, Apple stock split 3 different ways. 3 different ways. It is at its lowest price that it has been in over 15 years at $125 a share. It's a gentleman who was a co-founder with Steve Jobs of Apple. You're not going to believe this. He sold his shares in the early part because he didn't see the vision, didn't believe it. Today he's working for a tech company. When had he held on to his investment, right now he would be the 5th wealthiest man in the world. But he didn't see it and didn't make the investment. I don't want you to miss the opportunity of investing in the kingdom, because I'm believing that not after too many days, it's going to be coming back to you. I want to go another step further. I want to ask you that you would invest yourself. You need to be involved and engaged in a ministry where you can serve, hear this, even after your business takes off. Ministry where you can serve even after God blesses you to make $1 million a year. I want God to be able to bless you, that you'll be able to see the entire world just by serving Him. I want to be your pastor. I want New Birth to be your church. I want heaven to be your home. I want Jesus to be your Lord. And I want you to do it right now. Come while you still have time. Would you please invest you with all of your flaws, all of your issues, all of your brokenness, all of your frailties, might I say, with all of your regrets. I want you to invest it in the God. And I'm telling you, you are not going to recognize yourself 1 year from now. I want to pray for you. Lord, I pray for the seeds that will be sown tonight, for the investments that will be made, for the deposits that will be left. That God, a harvest will come right behind it. For every person who's listening, every person who's viewing, every person who's watching, God, bless them according to your will. Some 20, some 60, some 80, some 100. But bless all of us. And we promise any way you bless us, Lord, we'll be satisfied. I want you to stay tuned. We've got some announcements for you. I'm excited. Listen to me. If you're dealing with any level of food insecurity, meet me here at New Birth on Saturday morning from 10 until 12. No person will be turned away. There's room at the cross, and there's always room at the King's table. Can't wait to see you on Sunday. Stay tuned for our announcements.
Is here to serve you, your family, and the entire community. If you need free groceries, please come by Saturdays from 10 a.m. until 12 p.m. Get there early while supplies last. Visit our online Call to Conquer bookstore for our September book of the month, The New Birth Face Mask, and all your ministry needs. Log on today. Sunday, September 13th is Demonstration Tithing Sunday. We are encouraging all members and frequent visitors to collectively tithe on this day. Also, we encourage others to commit to begin tithing. Let's begin tithing together and watch God take care of the rest. Please visit our website to complete our Top 10 questionnaire or text NB Top 10 to 71441. Visit our website, Facebook Live, and YouTube daily at 12:30 p.m. to hear a word from our pastors as they provide a daily dose of messages that will bless and elevate you. Please join our New Birth Employment Network in collaboration with Ronstadt Right Source and USA Diversity Partners as they discuss navigating diversity and inclusion in the workplace. Tuesday, September 8th at 11 a.m. Please visit newbirth.org for more information and to register. And that's all the time we have for this week's video announcements.